one company that is standing out reported earlier this week, and that would be Etsy. Yes, online shopping across the board is getting a boost because of the pandemic. But at Etsy, it was masks. Masks helped them sell in the last quarter, $346 million worth of face coverings. Let's get the lowdown from the CEO. Josh Silverman is Etsy CEO. He's joining us from Connecticut. He's on the telephone. Congratulations on a very strong quarter. Can you sustain that, though, since now all of us have masks?
Well, we feel great about the second quarter. And I think more than anything, it shows the tremendous potential in the Etsy marketplace. And I want to be clear that the second quarter was about way more than masks. Non-mask sales were up 93% year over year. So there was call it $2.4 billion worth of non-mask products sold in the quarter. And just to give a little color on what that looks like, our largest category in the second quarter, again, was home furnishings, not masks. And Etsy sellers sold about $2 billion worth of home furnishings over the last 12 months. In the second quarter, home furnishing sales were up 128% year over year. Apparel is another leading category for Etsy. Etsy sellers have sold about $775 million worth of apparel in the last 12 months, and apparel sales were up about 60% year over year. Jewelry sales up 50% year over year, and $1.2 billion of jewelry has been sold on Etsy over the last 12 months. So these are each massive categories, and they're growing. In each case, we're growing, we think, faster than the market leaders.
Hey, Josh, it's Julie here. It's good to talk to you. So I know that you expressed some caution on your earnings call about the continuation of these trends. Historically, how sticky are buyers on Etsy? How long do they tend to be repeat buyers? What does your data show you? And do you think that the pre-pandemic buyers are the same as the pandemic buyers? Will you see that data replicate itself?
Yeah, those are great questions. And actually on our earnings call, we have a slide, which I would encourage people to look at, which shows our cohort data. And what you'll see is that our buyers have been historically very reliable. So they come year in and year out, but they tend to come for the same purchase occasion every year. So if they come for Mother's Day, they're there for Mother's Day. If they come for, some other holiday, they come just on that one date. So the opportunity for us has been to help each of those buyers understand just the breadth and depth of offerings that we have. And in this moment, people are turning to Etsy more and more, and they're discovering that we're there for them for so many different purchase occasions. So one stat that we shared on the earnings call is of new buyers that we've acquired and reactivated buyers that we've acquired over the past 3 months. 10% of them have bought on at least 4 different purchase days in 2 different categories over the past 30 days. And we think that's really encouraging in terms of forming a habit.
Josh, Dan Roberts here. I can appreciate and understand why you guys don't want the whole story here to just be the masks, because as you alluded to, we've seen gains in all these other categories. And I'm glad you mentioned new buyers. I mean, I think a quarter like the one you just had is a good time to zoom out a little and ask you how you think the image and reputation and brand of Etsy has changed separately from the pandemic, maybe in the last year or so, because to me, Etsy in its infancy was seen as the anti-Amazon. It was seen as a place for craft type items. And now obviously that's really grown. I mean, do you believe that the way consumers view Etsy as a shopping destination has changed and evolved?
I think that Etsy is becoming much more mainstream. It's becoming more top of mind as a place you can go to buy almost anything. Now, I want to be careful about the word mainstream because almost anything you can find on Amazon or at Target, you can find at Etsy. But the difference is it's made just for you, and you're interacting with the person who actually made it. So the product is more personal, and the purchasing process feels a lot more personal. You can buy a lot of things at a department store, but when's the last time they sent you a handwritten note? And so I think that people are realizing now that there's a different way to shop, and we're really leaning into that. So we have been investing very significantly in marketing, and particularly television right now, to really build top of mind awareness so that we can really rise to the opportunity that this moment presents.
Josh, can you speak to how you've seen the profile of Etsy sellers evolve, especially over the last several months? We've heard so many stories about people who have been laid off, who are seeking out additional income, who are realizing there are platforms out there where they can grow their income. What have you seen on that front?
It's so true. People are turning to Etsy now, and I think finding that it's a really fulfilling way for them to both earn a living and also fulfill their passion. For example, we have a baker named Jean who lives in Florida and has been running a bakery for a long time, very successfully, and he had to obviously close down his retail operations due to COVID, and so he Googled where can I go to buy things online and came across Etsy. He wasn't even familiar with Etsy before that. He opened up an Etsy shop, and now he's been extremely successful selling bread, and also his yeast. He's got this yeast mix that he's been cultivating for like a decade. And what he's discovered is not only is he selling a lot of product and being very successful with his business, but he's interacting with people all across America and all across the world that are really passionate about bread making. So while he only used to be able to reach people who lived in his neighborhood who may or may not love bread, now he can really reach a global audience of people who share his passion. And I think that's really fulfilling.
I am curious, when you talk about looking ahead, forward guidance, can you make us any predictions about the active buyers? The jump there was really dramatic in the last quarter, 41% increase in active buyers year over year. What about going forward?
So, it's a difficult time to be predicting things. We did give Q3 guidance. So what we guided for the third quarter is that we expect that gross merchandise sales will be up between 80 and 110% year over year. So obviously that assumes that we are continuing to acquire new buyers at a pretty good clip and that we're getting more frequency from our existing buyers, both of which were certainly true in the second quarter. What happens in the fourth quarter and beyond is difficult to know. Government stimulus. What happens if those $600 checks don't restart, or if they start at a much lower level? I think that could affect. All of consumer spending, and Etsy would certainly be one of the people affected. But when we look at the long term, we're building this business for the long term. And I think that this has been truly a breakthrough moment where Etsy has risen in the popular consciousness and people's habits are changing and forming around Etsy in a way that they weren't before. We frankly had permission to go and meet a bunch of consumers' needs that consumers might not have thought of us for before, like bread. And I think our sellers are doing an amazing job and buyers are delighted by that. And I think that's really great for Etsy for the long term.
All right, it's good to have you here. I want to let everybody know that Josh is Josh Silverman is the CEO of Etsy. We wish you continued success, and we really look forward to the next time we can see you in studio. I remember the first time we met in person. All the best to your team, Josh.